All right, guys, this is Reality Check Podcast. This is me, Dima, and my co-host, Ben.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Benjamin, and Reality Check, as Dima said, where the truth comes out.
Yeah, that's our motto.
Yeah, that's our motto, and we're looking forward to bring more topics and quite a lot of things that you guys will be learning from this chat. And it's uncensored. Yeah, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so we're not going to have a lot of problems. All we need is to bring the topics to you and then also bring some people who are of interest, people who can break down things as we'll be asking questions.
Yeah. What kind of topics?
We're looking at a number of topics like racism.
Racism.
Speaking
with Russian on racism.
Yeah, the worldwide racism from color.
Yeah, or nationalism.
Nationalism, and then we took look at reality shows and TV.
Yeah, politics worldwide.
Of
probably.
course, economics. Relationship topics.
We're gonna bring some ladies in the studio.
Yes.
Some men as well. Speak with them about relationships. I don't know, some perspective on the relationships from guys' perspective, from ladies' perspective,
of course,
from South African perspective, and from Russian perspective.
Yeah, entrepreneurship. The young guys who are trying their best. We want to hear their stories. How did you manage to be where you are, and what are the challenges and stuff like that?
Yeah, entrepreneurship. What kind of people? Solar.
We're looking into anything. We want to hear the journeys. So from solar, be it business, selling, crypto, anything that has to do with startups.
Yeah,
quite a lot of things that we're going to touch upon.
Well, we are in South Africa, so we're also going to talk about gangs. And we're going to bring a guy who works with gangs.
Mm-hmm.
Also, film industry, as it's very big in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
What else, Ben?
Yeah, looking at that as well, we're talking of the film industry. The guys who are into like social media content.
Yeah.
People who are successful in movies and stuff.
All right.
So
travel, drugs, charity, surfing, homelessness, crime. These are some of the topics we're going to speak about.
And we're still going to add more, depending on how the people are going to react and respond to what we bring out to them.
Yeah, and what is interesting to us.
Very much, yeah. And just a question.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Russia, St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg. Yeah. And when did you fall in love with Africa, like South Africa itself?
Well, I did come here in 2020, just before the pandemics.
Okay.
Perfect time to come. I came for the tour.
Okay.
And it was like 2.5 weeks. And I love this country so much. I canceled my tickets.
Wow.
I wanted to stay more. But someone told me that the country is going to get closed in 2 days because of the COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
So I left on 22nd, I think, or 21st of March.
Yeah.
In 2020. And yeah, the country got closed. But I came back in 2021 when it got opened. And yeah, I'm here since that time.
Lovely. And what are you into? What kind of business, what kind of work do you do?
Oh man, I don't know what to start with. Well, for the past 10 years, I've been doing 11 years actually.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing digital marketing.
Oh, okay.
From many perspectives, like monetization, like advertising, sales, anything. And yeah, that's one thing. Another thing I'm doing, I have a YouTube channel. Wonderful. It's in Russian. And if we touch on the nationalism topic, it's not monetized properly because YouTube is not paying for Russian users.
Oh, really?
And it was a problem for me to even register an account there with Russian passport.
Oh, sorry, man. Okay, tell me. I just want to touch a little bit about your coming to South Africa and feeling comfortable. Do you feel comfortable being in South Africa the same way you feel when you are in Russia?
That's a funny question because I grew up well, when I was a child, I grew up in 90s,
Yeah.
and it was a dangerous time.
Yeah.
So it's very comfortable for me in South Africa.
Wow.
Because South Africa is very
Yeah.
contrasting. And yeah, I mean, and I started to notice it so emotionally just in the, I don't know, last year.
Mhm.
Seeing, I don't know, like a guy on the Porsche
Yeah.
driving by, and on the next car, seeing like seven persons in some small car, yeah, driving to work or somewhere.
Which is a normal thing in South Africa, yeah.
Yeah, and people asking for money, and yeah, like big gap in
The rich and the
in
poor.
between, yeah, rich and the poor.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, if when I allowed it to enter to touch it,
Yeah.
emotionally, yeah, I mean, it's a painful experience, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm glad there are some people that we can invite that are working with this kind of problems in this country.
I'm glad to hear that, because mostly the challenge we have today is that people always have a bad narrative about Africa in general. Everyone who wants to come to Africa would think that Africa is extremely poor, you can't live in there. So I'm glad to have you, and because you can tell us your transitioning, your chance and the moving into South Africa and falling in love with the country and the people.
I can tell you a lot. Well, first thing is, yeah, for some people outside of Africa, South Africa as well, they don't know much. And yeah, they just know some things, that the people get shot, for example, gangs, robberies, and that is far away. Some other people, yeah, they have a better experience. They traveled, yeah, and the people that have been here,
Yeah.
especially to Cape Town, where we are now, I don't know, that's like a paradise city.
Wow.
You know, a paradise town.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad. So when you are in Cape Town, what things do you do, like on your leisure time? Or what are your basic things? Let's say you do jogging, do you go to gym, do you surf, do you do hiking, mountain? What are the things do you do?
Another thing I'm doing, I'm glad you asked, I have a surf school.
Oh.
Sometimes I surf. And yeah, this town is also like so rich in terms of sport experiences. I do mountain biking. The trails are wonderful in here. Some places for jogging, I don't jog. I don't run much, but yeah. And what I do? Well, I meet people like you.
Yeah.
I work a lot lately because inflation, I guess everyone can relate in 2023.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere the prices are inflating, and yeah, so I'm working a lot lately. I don't know, I stopped working to get here for this podcast,
which is wonderful.
Yeah, and when I'm going back, I'm going to
start
work
working
again.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I think when other guys or other people who are in Russia or United States see a person like yourself, and with the news that always goes out to the world saying that there is racial tensions, this is we want to discuss on your personal perspective. Like, how do you feel? Because most of the people that we have spoken to always say that white people get killed in South Africa. And some say there's too much violence against black and white. But for the time that you have lived here, have you ever experienced anything of that sort? Or it's just another situation that can happen anywhere in the world?
I've never experienced an aggression towards me because I'm white. And I don't think that only white people get killed.
Yeah.
I think it's not much color related, you know. I think
just
it's
crime.
more like, crime, territory, I don't know, some maybe mafia.
Yeah.
Some
which
things like
which
this.
is similar to that things that you can find anywhere in the world.
Yeah, but I guess in this country, I think this can be a perspective, because this country is one of the latest, if not the latest, that abandoned the racism, systemic racism in terms of apartheid.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. You know much more about this country than I do.
I don't know, But I because I know quite a lot, but when I ask you a question in that regard, it's mainly for the people that looks at you and they'll be like, maybe if I tell people about Africa, they'll think maybe I'm just trying to sell Africa. But the best thing is if you tell them, because you are coming from far. So it's not like you are selling something that is bad. So it's an advantage to most of the people who would want to travel, especially to South Africa. And I've seen a big number of, especially people coming from Russia, loving South Africa. So it's a good example. But for people in the United States, Europe, and the extension of the world, they will need to listen and understand that when people come here, they still feel the same way they feel when they're in their countries.
Yeah, maybe a little bit different, but yeah, this country is so different. I mean, and so full of experiences. You have places like Constantia and I don't know, Kalk Bay, places that look like Miami or LA, I guess, Florida, yeah, and you have places like medium class neighborhoods. You have places near the ocean, like I don't know, like surfers districts, yeah, like Muizenberg, or I don't know,
Camps Bay.
I mean, like further up, west coast, Elands Bay, and I don't know, and further down the Indian Ocean, Wilderness,
up to Garden Route,
Garden Route. This country is so different, various in terms of experiences, and I mean, I was amazed. I mean, you can find anything here, and you can find love, you can find hate, you can find money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And maybe last question: would you move to South Africa permanently to say I'm living in South Africa?
I am here.
I'm glad to hear that because that's the most difficult decision. Mostly, what people think: I can visit, but I cannot live there.
I have moved, and I have moved before the political conflict between Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah,
and it's kind of I'm going to Russia in 3 days, as I said, like just for a couple of weeks to visit friends, relatives, to do some things related to work. But I moved here intentionally, and now it's kind of complex for me.
It's no home.
Yeah, because some people left Russia, because of the war situation.
I know.
I left before that. And I don't know.
I'm glad.
It's a great place to be. Come for vacation, come for 3 months, come for a week. I don't know. Just come to South Africa. That's what can I say about this country?
Wonderful, man. Thanks a lot for sharing that. It's always good to hear it from,
You said that was the last question.
I know there's still more questions, but the question I wanted relating to your moving to South Africa, hearing about your, coming in and adjusting. And of course, the most difficult thing is when people travel. And we're going to talk about travel as well. So when people look at countries where they can move to, before they think of moving, they want to see how comfortable it is. Are the people friendly? Is the country welcoming? Apart from welcoming, is the country beautiful? The scenery, the landscape.
Some people don't know much about South Africa, and also because it's so far away. I mean, for example, for Russians, it's much easier to travel to Asia, Europe, because it's closer. Coming here is like, 15-hour flight. That's worth it. It's worth it.
But it's long.
I mean, 30 minutes, 30-hour flight is worth it as well. But it's so far away. It's like New Zealand to like a person in Europe. It's like, like Chile, Argentina. To
way further south,
Yeah, to a person in Europe. So, or in US. So yeah, it's a far away land. I never imagined 4 years ago that I will be living in Africa.
Wow, here you are, man. And then just I'm very much interested in hearing, because, for example, some of us, we grew up in communities where it was just black people. We didn't see quite a lot of white people in there. But when the time we'd see a white person in there, we'd also feel like we want to be part of them, and they can be part of us. And how did you manage? I know in Russia you don't have so much black people like in Africa. This is a different in a different picture. Did you manage to make more friends who are of different color? And
Yeah.
how is the treatment? Is there anything that would say, yeah, I cannot adjust certain things, or you just getting along?
Yeah, just get along. I found a couple of good friends like you.
Yeah.
Another friend who worked at Scotch and Soda shop.
Okay.
Yeah, and now he started his own brand.
Okay.
And yeah, Lubabalo.
Okay.
He's from South Africa.
Wonderful.
He's from Zim actually.
Is this
Yeah,
myself.
like you.
Okay, yeah.
But he was living in South Africa for a long time.
Okay.
And actually the people here are so open. That's what I noticed about this country. I've been to a lot of places in Europe, for example. Most of the places in Europe. And I'm not even talking about Russia, where people are sometimes depressive.
Yeah, I know.
Like serious, you know. This country is so open. I don't know. Most of the I never heard anything bad when I contacted a person here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah. It's good. Wonderful, man. Thank you very much for sharing that. Very, very important.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Benjamin Zondo, born and raised in Zimbabwe. So I was raised during the time Zimbabwe was going through an economic problem because we have sanctions from Europe and the United States. So we are the victims of poverty, and our country had not functioned for years. So after finishing high school, there was no way that I could get a job and think of going or furthering the education to the university or whatever. So when I was 19, I managed to come down to South Africa, but in Johannesburg. And my sister was already working down there. And yeah, she said, come, but I knew nothing. I had no work experience. I had no knowledge of any kind of work because I just came from school. After school, when I finished when I was 17, then I stayed 2 years trying to hustle and look for a job, which didn't happen. Yeah, of course, I tried to join the military, didn't work out in Zimbabwe. Yeah, then I finally came to South Africa. So my first job was in the restaurants. I was a barista. I used to make wonderful coffees, man. And yeah, changed from there, become a waiter. And as you meet more people, you get to open up and then learn a lot of things. And the good thing is, as I can tell you, we all came. We are not originally, from here, but the thing is, when you meet people who are willing to teach, people who are willing to say, "Come, we can
mentor."
Yeah, that was my position, and I worked in different restaurants up to 5-star hotels. Then in 2016, I then moved down to Cape Town. So I only worked for a few months at the hotel. Then I went to tourism. So now I'm into tourism full time. I run my own company, and we're doing quite a lot of traveling throughout South Africa, Zimbabwe, and this is my passion, and I've fallen in love with it. So when it comes to meeting people, I've met people from all over the world. And I've spoken to people from different cultures, backgrounds. I've seen people from all over, and I've had quite a lot of things. I've learned quite a lot of things. So it's an interesting thing that it's an industry that I love, but then I meet good people like yourself, many other guys. I cannot count. But the point is, when you speak about where you are, like the country that you're living in, to tell people, they first look at how you live yourself. They want to see, are you really happy, So that's more important. So we always live the way we live. We are not in a complaining position. We work very hard. I work very hard. I travel quite a lot. And there's a lot of things that we're learning, but mostly my position is to share the good things about Africa and South Africa.
So many thoughts have gone through my head while I was listening. Well, if you stayed in Zim, what would have happened? What do you think? If you haven't got into military, if you stayed in Zim, what would have happened?
Maybe I wouldn't be working by now.
What do you mean?
There's never been jobs. There's been problems of jobs. So it was going to be a problem because as a young man, you are energetic. You really want to focus mainly on pouring out your energy and, of course, start a good life. So it was not going to work out because there was so much young people who were at home, our brothers and sisters. So I was just going to add a number on top of the other guys and brothers who were just home. So there was nothing. Otherwise, I would have gone into farming. And farming was not going to work for me because I didn't have any capital. So I would be farming what we call subsistence farming, which is just small portions, which will not help you with anything. So I still love my country very much. I still do go back. But the fact that the industries has not functioned very well, only now that the country is rising. So it was a good decision for me to come to South Africa.
Yeah, I'm a lucky man. I've been to, well, not in a tour, but accompany Benjamin on a trip with his tourists.
Yeah, of course.
A couple of times. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Actually I have. How are you feeling now in South Africa in terms of it's off season and you work in tourism? Now in South Africa it's it's winter. It's July, but it's winter because it's southern hemisphere. People do not come much. How are you feeling now?
It's something that we know for some years now, that it's a season that comes and goes. So in the summertime we work non-stop. So in winter, June, July, we get time to rest a little bit. There's not so much of things happening because if you want to do Table Mountain, it's not so open and there's things that you can't do in the rain. So it's more of time to relax, time to rebuild again, gain more strength for the coming summer. So we're always anticipating for summer. We always push. So it's okay. People come, one or two, but it's not like COVID-19, which restricted us not even to, if I get a job now, work, we still go on the road and work. But COVID-19 did not allow us to do that, which I would say this is normal, this is fine, it's quiet, but summer is coming, we will be ready for summer and we'll start traveling more and more.
Where do you want to go from here? Should we start off with some other topics or?
Yeah, basically, I mean, touching up, maybe we can just brush off on the racism part. Just to.
Are you racist?
No, I'm not racist, but I'm someone. Yeah, I'm not. It's a good question, but I'm someone who, when I feel like I'm mistreated because I'm black, I don't wait
to express yourself.
I do it right away. I have done it many times. So I don't want someone who can mistreat me because I'm black, and a person who thinks that being white is superiority or you are superior to another person.
How often do you face these kind of issues?
It is more. It is still it's hidden, but if you are someone who cannot notice, you might not notice it. But for some of us in the industry, I'm in the industry that used to be dominated by white people. And you go into different places, they still feel like, I mean, you go there, you're the only black person there. Some are not comfortable seeing you, but they cannot express it, but you can see. And the only solution to that is that if someone approaches you and wants to mistreat you, then stop them right away. So I've done that many times. Not like I hate white people, I hate black people, I don't hate anyone. I just don't like a person who can take advantage or think that they are more better than other people. So I've met even in our tour guiding business, met some racist individuals.
What kind of mistreatment is it? Is it they're treating you like a person? They tried to treat you like, I don't know, some second class person? Yeah,
you are not even the second class. Just like in the description is like, why are you here? It's like, You don't need to be here. Like recently, I had some Russian guys at the Cape of Good Hope, and we always, as tour guides, we are tour managers. We manage in every places, and I got there and I saw that the queue is long. People want to take pictures with the Cape of Good Hope sign. And I suggested to everyone, I greeted everyone nicely. I said, look, if you use the whole side or the whole picture, it's going to take too much time. Look at the queue is growing. So what we do is we divide. You use this side because it's the same sign. You have been there, you see where it says Cape of Good Hope, Cape of Good Hope. And this guy is a local South African, a white guy. He started swearing at me. You're not going to be a tour guide. Who are you? And all that.
What? Why?
I got, because, and nicely. And these Russian guys that I had as my clients, they were like, what's wrong with this guy? I said, no, we know them. There are some individuals, not all white people, some few individuals. So I told him right away, I said, it's not about I'm a guide or whatever. It's just common sense. You don't need to swear. I greeted nicely. And everyone was like, yeah, that's better because we've been standing here for long. But the way he responded to me was like, if you describe it, it's like he's saying, what is this little black man coming here to say?
And I've got a question. The media in South Africa, do they feed on this kind of topics? Do they push these kind of topics in terms of racism or not? Because, for example, in United States, in Western press, I sometimes read it, sometimes watch something. Yeah, this topic is getting pushed. I mean, racial tensions, gender-based issues, tensions, and I mean, in France right now there are
riots. I saw
riots, and as they say, they're racial based. Yeah.
No, here in South Africa, the good thing is there are so much people like myself who solve the problem right on the spot. So I've seen, I'm sure you've watched, if you watch the news, another guy was denied to go into the club. Yeah, a black guy.
Because of the skin color.
Like ourselves. Let's go to a club now, then you go inside, then they say you can't go. Recently.
Because of the skin color.
Because he's black. And then the white guy stood for him. He said, why are you denying him? He's walking with me. So why are you telling him that not to come here? So it happened here in Cape Town. So I'm saying this because it went viral. Reason is that the white guy, the friend, stood for his friend. He said, what's wrong with him? I'm working with him. I mean, so we still have some elements of
some people,
not everyone, individuals who still feel that they are better than others. But the media, if they catches it up, they put it. And the laws are now good as well. If you mistreat someone, the laws are actually very, very tight against racist people. So it doesn't matter you're black or you're white. If I mistreat a white person, I must face the law. If you mistreat a black person, why is it so? So the media is getting what the people get on the ground. If you see something, you record it, you send it to the media. They don't filter or select. They post it as it is.
For me, these kind of issues are somewhat unknown coming from Russia. Because, I mean, we had some racial tensions, but not that much. And never. I mean, the history of Russia, some people were oppressed. A lot of people were oppressed. But it wasn't based on the color, on the race.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know, from generation to generation,
Absolutely.
based on power, I guess. I mean, you can approach it from different perspectives, but based on power. And so this kind of issues for me sometimes is, once I got told that I'm a part of white supremacy.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I went down the internet, checked
the meaning of it, and but in other words, what you're saying is right. But if you look at how Africa is managed to handle racial tensions, we are doing way better than the United States.
Yeah,
we are doing better than Europe, because for example, South Africa got independence in 1994. That's 29 years ago. And you can look at how the people live. We only left with few elements, but you will never get white police mistreating people because they are
color.
white or they are black. You don't get people rejected at work because they are black. No, there's nothing like that. So it's a short space of time. But if you look at the United States, that is more than 200 years of freedom and all that, there's still no freedom for the non-white, the minorities. So that is the thing. So Africa has done quite a lot of things. So in that regard, I feel proud of Africa because we should be a generation that is supposed to be more bitter than anyone else. Remember our past, but we're not living in the past. We welcome anyone regardless of who you are, where you come from, your race, your skin. We don't care. If you behave like a human being, you behave like a human being. You should be treated like a human being. You don't need to be treated because of your skin color.
Yeah.
You can see it today up to even in the sports fraternity, like soccer. Vinicius was the soccer player in
Real Madrid.
In Real Madrid in Spain.
But I haven't read.
He's being called a monkey. You go to soccer, they still have the guts. I mean, to call some individuals monkeys because they're black. They still post the people, painting them looking like a baboon or something like that. So it's not something that we would find down here. There's no one who's still, there are some few elements in the farms and stuff, but to be honest with you, we have done quite a lot. We have done quite a lot in regard to the people resolving the racial tension and living together. Yeah.
What I'm seeing is that, though, of course, I guess most part of the personnel on some lower class jobs. I mean, on serving as a waitress.
Yeah,
like lower payment. Jobs. Yeah.
So,
what I'm seeing is more of them are of people of color. Yeah. So I guess that's a heritage.
No, the thing is, the problem is it's an economic problem. So we describe it as racism by affordability. So it's a big term. So what happened is that back then there are jobs that were only meant for black people.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't find a white lady cleaning the houses. These were black women. Then you wouldn't find a white person cleaning the streets. So the job description before 1994 going back. So it became a thing. So you go into restaurants today. The minimum wage by the government is like 3,500 rands, which is equivalent to $200 per month. So there is no much of the white people who would work for that small amount. Reason why, I will explain. Reason why is that the smaller population of the South African white people are in the privileges of inheritance. So meaning that from 1652, their forefathers built economies, they worked in the factories, they built farms and stuff. So it's very difficult for a young man, for example, myself, a 29-year-old man, competing with another 29-year-old fellow white person. By 29, he's already a CEO. He's running a company. He did not work for the money. It's an inheritance money.
Not everyone, but
majority. In the perspective of comparing the South African people that you see doing what we call the dirty jobs, so like the cleaning, the fuel servers, you won't find majority of fuel servers are white people. Why is it so? Because these are not paying jobs.
Yeah, and I guess that's a heritage. I mean, it's coming from the past.
It's the past.
And education as well.
Yeah. And we South Africa has now also gone into the biggest unemployment rate, which is 32 point something percent. And 28% of that 32% are youth. So you might be educated.
Youth are people under 20.
Under 35.
35.
Yeah, under 35. And you are educated. You have a degree. You wake up, you go look for a job, there's no job.
Mm.
You come back. So hence, when we touch about the drugs, and you understand that this has also caused that our townships would grow, and then you have people into drug business, and you have people into gangsterism and stuff, because the government has not given quite a lot of money into startups, entrepreneurship.
Mm.
So if you start a business, you would have to have capital of your own.
Mm.
You understand?
Yeah.
But there is a good workforce. There's good manpower. If you start a business, it's always good to do business in Africa because there's so much people willing to work.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into the farms in the wine region, Stellenbosch, we don't do mechanized grape harvesting, or we don't use machines. We use people. People cut the grapes by hands. And that gives quality of grapes and good wine. Why? Because there's enough people who are willing to work. But at the end of the day, it's still low salaries. And that's why you see that there's more of those people that comes from the townships, poor
Mhm.
people, and the continuation
Mhm.
of that. So that I've had a conversation with my clients from United States. They're like, why is it so? So I explained to them that is the reason. Until there is equality. So in South Africa, we are the most unequal society in the world. It's a fact. It's a developed country, but most unequal society. So meaning you are walking in Constantia, across the road is a township. You are in
Yeah.
Hot Bay, and when you see a township, there's nothing to celebrate in a township. It's a definition of poverty. So the non-white people for years have lived in these conditions. So few of them who have transformed, who have managed to do well, they are doing well. They are rich black people doing quite well, but the majority are still under the working class.
Yeah, and I heard you can also find, I don't know, we're speaking a lot on the topic of color.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all
yeah.
right though. That's an issue nowadays, and I guess it has been for some time.
Mhm.
I heard in townships there are white people as well, and of course colored people and white people. right?
Yes. So, like for example, I know one in close to Johannesburg where I lived. There's an area called Mansonville.
Mm.
There are white people living in the township, but it was only from the 94 going further. It was not like that before.
Mm.
So when the government changed, opportunities were no longer about you are white or you are black. It was about qualification.
Mm.
So most of them lost jobs, couldn't get jobs because they didn't have qualifications.
Mhm.
And poverty has no color. Poverty just strike anyone.
Mhm.
So the level, if you compare the percentage, it's a small percent of white people in the townships. If you go into Hot Bay, you'd find some white people living in the townships. But this is just the modern day South Africa. But back from 1994 going back, there's never been things like that.
I have a comment and a question.
Mhm.
I will start with the question.
Mhm.
The question is if the system, like if this, not, I mean, not, I'm not yet with South African passport, but I mean, if South African society inherited a lot from like before, from the times of apartheid,
Yeah.
how do you solve that? I mean, like this gap in education, this
Mhm.
gap, and the comment is what I've heard
Mhm.
regarding this topic is that it will take generations to get resolved for the gap
To close.
to close. Yeah, but what do you think?
No, it will take generations. But the biggest problem is that we need everyone to come together. It's not about just closing the gap.
What do you mean coming together?
So the rich and the poor coming together.
How?
So meaning that the government okay, let me break down it like this. The government of South Africa,
Mhm.
since they took over the country from oppression, they've not introduced quite a lot of banks, what we call national banks,
Mhm.
which were going to benefit the poor black colored people in terms of startups. So I'll give a clear example. If I go to a bank myself as a black South African today, and I want a loan of 1 million rand, I would not get it. I would not qualify. Reason being, the bank will ask me for collateral.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a house? Do you have anything under your name?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at that, my father had never worked to buy a house. He lives in the townships where the shack he lives in is not worth even 1,000 rands. So that is the problem, because the banks are under the private sector. They are owned by the families. They are owned by individual rich families of South Africa. So what was needed was that the government of South Africa was supposed to create
Mm-hmm.
a national functioning bank that would equip youngsters and start their own businesses. And of course, the private sector would employ quite a lot of youngsters, but the government was supposed to play a bigger role. So the reason why it's going to take generations, that at the moment there's no government involved.
Mm.
It's still the private sector.
Mm.
You see the problem. So it will take generations because the population is growing
Mm-hmm.
every day.
60 million.
60 million now. It's even plus maybe, because every time the youth are graduating. And the education has transformed, has become very good, accessible to everyone. But you hold a degree,
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to use it to do? Where are you going to take it to? You go to a company, they have enough people.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem is that the government should work on building more startups, create more employment for the people, or just funding the people to start businesses. So we have not had more entrepreneurs in South Africa. We have had people who were just going to look for a job.
Mm.
So that is a problem. So if you go look for a job, they pay you $300 a month. It will not change your life at all.
Yeah.
You're just living to spend. So that is the problem. But I believe that if the private sector or the rich families of South Africa comes together with the government and say, it's not our fault and it's not their fault. They happen to be a generation that benefited from the past. Let's build South Africa together and everyone benefits. Black, white, rich, poor. You understand? So that is what is needed. If the government wants to enforce it, it's not going to work. I'm sure you have heard when most of the rich South African people say, Julius Malema, for example, wants to take the land
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to leave South Africa, we're going to go to Europe. Why is it so? Because they're not willing to be part of the majority poor, because they feel like if the land is divided by the poor, they're going to be vulnerable. They're not going to make more money. So it's a topic that needs to be discussed properly by the government together with the South African white people and the black people, because the gap is between black poor people and white rich people.
Mm-hmm.
The fewer percentage of the white people is small. So it's not a thing of race, but it's an effect of race, of generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we talk of the generation. So it will change, but it might not change in the next 50 years.
All right. I think it's more complex, even more complex, because psychological issues are connected and related. I mean, some people, I guess, are growing up without
of course,
fathers, mothers. Yeah, in bad neighborhoods.
Yeah.
With, I mean, as we said, there are some gang.
Yeah, of course.
Issues somewhere and influences. That's one thing. Also, I guess not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Yeah, I guess someone just need a proper education.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, proper 21st century education, and the world is moving so fast
into modern technology, and
yeah. I mean, it can be a programmer, education, or I don't know, like designer, like videographer, anything. I mean, some people move. I think I see people like you actually, and like myself. If I do something works out.
Of course.
Yeah. I guess that's a question of psychology as well, in terms of responsibility.
Yeah.
Responsibility for your own life. Because
Absolutely.
As of my experience, I had times of my life when I didn't realize that I'm in power to change my life. So I guess it's not only like a startup thing,
Mhm.
it's also like a psychological thing.
Mhm.
And as you said, I mean, it used to be for centuries
Yeah.
in a bad way, in a bad manner. And I guess it's some generational traumas, you
Yeah.
can
Yeah. Of
say.
course.
Yeah. And I think if people just close eyes on that, just go blind and do not look at these kind of issues,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're going to be happy. Because I also can tell from my experience
Mhm.
that disconnecting from feelings and
Emotions.
going in just working mode,
Yeah.
just working, surviving, I don't know, getting money, it
Mm.
never made me happy, and I mean it brought me more problems
Mm.
because you have crises
Mhm.
in terms of crisis, in terms of like motivation,
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. Because I mean, me personally, I never wanted to work just for money.
Yeah.
I wanted some meaning in my life. And I mean, if a person grows up without a father, for example, in bad neighborhood,
Yeah.
I don't know, with some bad influence, who's gonna tell him about meaning?
No.
I mean,
No.
and in school, I haven't been to South African schools,
Yeah.
but I've been to Russian schools,
Mhm.
and I mean, well, kids they do not talk about meaning.
Mhm.
Teachers, I mean, I had a good education in terms of like teachers.
Yeah.
Most of them came from Soviet Union.
Okay.
They worked for IDEA. But nowadays, I don't know, the world it's so interconnected, you know? I mean,
Everything is coming together, man.
yeah, and I mean, uh, I mean, the people are not very supported, as you said,
Yeah.
by the government, by some, I don't know, by
Because
yeah,
it's very different. When we say the people are not getting supported by the government, is that we look at other countries, how their people are elevating
Mm.
in terms of
yeah, social elevators,
yeah. And we just have a problem of knowing that.
social lifts.
So we just have an identity. You are just an African.
Mm.
You are just a South African. But when it comes to what differentiates you from any other person, there's nothing. You're just known being a South African.
Mm.
That's it. So do you have any money? Do you have any investments? No. You reach 40 years without any cent, not even driving a car.
Mm.
You know? And in the first world countries, that's impossible. Mostly in like, let's say
It used to be.
Yeah, now it's becoming, but everyone came from there. But if you look at countries like India, China, they've come a long way. Even Russia, they've come a long way. They were very poor 75 years, 80 years ago, but they've gone into supporting their people. Wherever you are, you don't need to move to the city. Wherever you are, you can still make money, you can make a living. But here in Africa, mainly in these countries down here, if you remain in the rural area, don't move to the city, you're not going to get anything called a salary. You're just going to venture into something, subsistence farming, something small. But then when you move into the city, you must be educated. You must know what you're doing. If you look for a job, they need experience. Did you work somewhere else? No, I didn't. Sorry, because there's so much people who wants the job. So we need to move into helping most of the people, because as long as we keep on living things like this, it's just going to be passed on. You grow up, you give birth, raise your kids, you leave them without anything. No house, no cars, nothing. Your kid must start from the scratch.
How do we start from ourselves? I mean, because I don't want to I don't want to ask a question, who's responsible for this? Because I mean, someone is officially responsible, I guess. But what can an average person do to start change things? I mean, like to not change. I mean, to change things for himself. Yeah, and to not,
complain
not change things in a bad way for other people, and maybe to actually, change things for other people in a good way as well. So where can you start?
No, you have to, and it goes back. Then it comes now to, you have to have a dream. That's number one. As you said earlier, that there are people who are just meant to go to work. They will never want to do entrepreneurship. Then there are people who are like myself, who had never wanted to work for anyone. I said, I will do my business. So it's the mindset.
Hmm.
No matter how educated you are, what is your dream? Do you just want to work for someone? Do you want to start your own business? So like I've never had any money from anyone to start a business.
How did you come to the mindset? I mean, you said you're a person from poor, like, neighborhood, poor
Poor
background. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
How did you come to this mindset thing? I mean, like, how did you start helping yourself?
So I maintained my dream because I've just wanted good things. So the first thing is that you
Mhm.
must attract good things. So I wanted cars.
What do you mean, cars?
You know,
Okay.
there are things that you like as a person.
Mm.
I wanted cars. I wanted a good life. I wanted to
Support your family.
support my family.
Okay.
I wanted to be able to buy whatever I want to buy. But the question was, if I continue working, will the money be enough? No.
Mhm.
If I start a business, would that be better? Yes. But am I ready for the consequences and challenges that are there when you start? So
Mhm.
you need to have that and answer yourself. So, but the first thing is, as I told you earlier, that I worked as a barista. I made coffee. I was getting paid less than $10 a day.
Mm.
And I was working 4 days every week. So that's less than $40 for 4 or 5 days a week.
Mm.
I was not complaining. So my advice mostly to young people when I speak is that learn to appreciate where you are first.
Mm.
But in the process of appreciating where you are, don't forget about your dream. So the mindset is that you are appreciating where you are not complaining, but you are always eager to learn, to expand. I'm not a university degree holder. I didn't go to university.
Mhm.
But today I can tell you I employ people with degrees.
Mhm.
Why? Because the mentality, the mindset is different.
The initial question was how. I mean, how did it start? I mean, were you born with this dream, with this mindset, or not? I mean,
It changed.
when?
It changed
How?
because when it came actually from young age. But when you are young, you want to go. I wanted to be a policeman.
Mm.
That was the thing. And I wanted to be a policeman until when I was in grade
To have
7.
power.
Yeah, I thought that was the best thing.
Uh-huh.
So, but every time when you're growing up, the mind is opening up.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, I don't want to be a police person again. Then I said, I want to be a soldier.
Mm.
And then when I finished my high school, there was nothing in my eyes that I wanted. I just wanted to be a soldier.
Mm.
And I went to train. I didn't qualify because of some circumstances and all that.
Mhm.
Up to like 7 years after I tried, my heart was still like I wanted to be a soldier. But when I started working in the hospitality industry, I realized that I think this is me,
Mm.
not the military I wanted. This is me. This is where I wanted to be.
Mm.
But then I started to figure out, if this is me, how can I expand? I'm working here. So you know what was happening? I'll give a quick example. I was working as a waiter, serving coffees. So the restaurant where I was working in Johannesburg was an open restaurant outside.
Mhm.
And bikers would come after the cycling, then they'll pack their bikes and come for coffees. So I had regular clients, people who would come every morning. Ben, how are you? How are you? Bring our usual coffee, So these are regular clients. But they were so much interested in hearing who this person is, this young man. I was like 20, 21 or so. What, Benjamin, what do you do during your part time? Like, I always try to do this, but I've realized that where I work here, there are a lot of people who are coming from outside the country.
Mhm.
This is back in 2015, 2014.
Mhm.
And when they come to the restaurant, they ask me, can you help us? We need someone who can take us to the safari. We need someone who can take us to see the caves and stuff. So that was an opportunity for me. So I realized that, I can do this. I had friends with cars. I didn't have a car then. So I told them, okay, wait, I'll call my friend to take you there. I was charging. My friend will come take them, and then we're making money.
Mm.
So this is the story I was telling these clients, that this is what I do when I'm free. Try to take when I'm off. I take them when I'm not off. They said, okay, you know what? We've been interested in talking to you, but we're like, you are like all these waiters. They are happy with the tips and stuff. I said, no, I really want to do something big, but I don't know what. I'm not educated in form of as a specialist. They said, okay, look, we own lodges and guest houses in Sandton, Johannesburg. We don't have anyone taking our guests from airport, taking our guests to their touristic places. We would like to help you, young men. So what you need to do is just send an email. Then we know when the clients book, we know that they need to pick up. That's how it started. But why am I saying this? Because I told them bigger things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was not complaining. I didn't complain about the restaurant. No, I just spoke about the things that I wanted to do. They said, I can tell you I bought my first car from them, Mercedes-Benz. I was still working at the hotel. I would park. I was driving a second nicest car from the general manager, and I'm just a waiter. But people didn't understand what's going on. So then my mind started opening up more. How can I expand this? This is actually working out. Ideas. No, go start tour guiding. Go learn. Then I started with adding the education.
So the answer to my question is, you found the dream or the thing, you realize the things that you need to do through experience. And in your story, you mentioned your principles to appreciate where you are. Yeah, because you said you haven't complained about the restaurant. Yeah.
No, that's very important. Up to now, even my former employees here in Cape Town, I worked as a driver. They still have respect for me. We still work together. If I want buses, I don't even have any problem. I just call. So
Employers.
that is appreciate where you are. In the process of building your dream, don't forget that someone contributed, and do not mess with the people. If the company is not paying you much, it's not your problem. You look for something better. You don't have to speak bad about it. That's normally what I always tell people.
Yeah, complaining is another bad thing.
Yeah,
I guess. I had a different experience from my life. Actually, well, I found out where I want to go through experience as well. But I worked a lot of jobs.
Okay.
That were, I don't know, I worked there as a mean of, I don't know. The psychology was like surviving. I mean, I have to work somewhere. I have to get money. I mean, at some point in my life, it was very good money.
Absolutely.
But overall, it was work for money. It's like selling myself for working hours, And recently, I mean, like a couple of years ago, I found out I don't know, I'm not satisfied by this.
Absolutely.
And I'm getting drained by this. And I mean, because a lot of jobs are just, exchanging your time for money. And that's not the best deal.
It's not at all.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing is to, I don't know, build up something, I guess.
Create something, sustainable.
Yeah. And another good thing is doing what you love. But yeah, the best thing is to combine it together so you have free time to enjoy your life.
Without anyone managing your time. That's one thing I never wanted, like a manager telling me that if you don't come to work, you are fired. At least if you have something that you love, you do it with your heart, you like it, that's it. And I mean, you asked me a question, how do you see South Africa now, Cape Town now that it's a low season? I'm not complaining. It's a phase. We agree that's part of it, But if you are working for someone, they will tell you, it's quiet now, you have no salary. But if you're doing a business, you understand the business ethics and the work ethics. And the fact that you are pushing a dream, it's a goal. You are facing any circumstance. We survived COVID. We lost quite a lot of things. We didn't give up. We didn't change the dream. The dream remains alive. The only thing is that you have to push it. You have to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing.
You can be a motivational speaker.
I am. I am.
Officially.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And back to reality check, and then this is going to be interesting, right?
Yeah. So I do have some people in mind,
Mhm.
several persons to invite. I have a friend in crypto. Yeah, he can tell us about crypto markets all over the world and in South Africa especially. And solar guys.
Solar guys,
Yeah.
tourism guys,
Yeah.
anyone who is successful in the
Gang
story.
guys.
Gang guys.
Relationships. I'm interested.
We're not going to limit anyone. We just want people, but and people should know who we are, because we're not going to speak an agenda here, as we agreed that we're not going to be speaking the Western media, what they do, censored.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to speak things
one-sided point of view.
one-sided. No. So if we bring a guest here, this is to our viewers. If we're going to bring a guest, we're not going to be telling the guest what to say. The guest will say what they want to say openly, and we would ask questions without any fear. So if you're going to come on the podcast, if we're going to invite you, a reality check is that where the truth comes out.
Yeah.
So we're not going to tell you what to tell us, then it's not the truth. So we are non-biased, and we're going to continue speaking the truth as it is, and in real time, in real terms, without any additional things, as it is. So we'll check, and of course we'll check. We'll come, of course, check a reality check to check: do you really have the business? Do you really do this? Were you really a gangster? Were you really are you really into crypto? So that we know that we bring people of value, people who can tell the story as it is without any theories.
Every person is of value. I mean, but yeah.
Now
in terms of
the story itself,
yeah, though, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's it. So I believe we're good.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, we wrap it up, and this is Reality Check. Myself, Benjamin, and
Dima.
See you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.